Hey, Sutton, Lige Douzable. We've also got Danny Cannell tapping in with us. Gentlemen, what an exciting way to kick off our NFL Saturday here. Lige, I'm going to come to you first because when we were watching this game happening live, the play before, that set up that game-winning field goal was something that you had a very loud reaction to. Let's get to that play and let's talk about it. Walk us through what you saw and why ultimately being so pivotal.
DK, as a defensive player, I just wanted to pull my hair out. I thought Brian Flores got too conservative in the second half. When Jake Browning was struggling in the first half, it was because he was bringing pressure and simulated pressure. This is a pivotal play right here. Right here, if you're Harrison Smith, you have to stay outside for contain. Pace, you as well, stay outside for contain. Jake Browning had already killed you earlier on a throw-up play to T. Higgins for a ridiculous touchdown catch because he was able to get outside the pocket to his right, to his throwing shoulder, and throw a pass. He does it again right there. I don't understand. You have one job. It's 3rd and 9. You're about to get the ball back with a potential to win the game, and yet you do not execute the defensive plan. You do not execute your job. You cannot make inside moves when you have contained. Harrison Smith is a guy that's played a lot of football, been an all-pro at this level. He would love to have that playback. I know the Vikings defense would love to have that playback. But DK, I just thought Brian Flores got way too conservative the second half. It wasn't like they were up by 20-something points. At most, they were up by 14, and they still had a lot of game left. So when he was blitzing him in the first half, and I'm talking about Jake Browning, that's when he really struggled. That second half, they went a lot more 3-man, 4-man rush, gave him all day back there. He started getting comfortable. So when you did blitz him, he was already in rhythm. So I think this is a horrible loss by the Minnesota Vikings. But kudos to Jake Browning, right? They kept you in the game. You made the plays that you needed to make to help your team win.
Let's talk about the quarterbacks in this one because I know Nick Mullins wasn't the winner. He made some mistakes. He had those 2 interceptions, Danny, but he didn't play bad. I mean, for him to step into the game, when his number was called, he hasn't had a ton of reps as the starter in so many years. How would you evaluate his performance today, and how do the Vikings go forward with Nick Mullins as their QB?
Yeah, Haley, he didn't give up 21 points in the fourth quarter, which is what his defense did. I actually thought you saw the reason why Kevin O'Connell went to Nick Mullins. Early in the game, they were executing pretty flawlessly. You did see a couple mistakes in the turnover game, but just as far as the system, it did look very similar to when Kirk Cousins was playing quarterback. And it didn't look the same when you had, Josh Dobbs back there running around kind of just improvising and making plays, which is not Josh Dobbs' fault. He didn't really have a grasp of the system, but Mullins been there. He's more familiar with the playbook. So I thought that's why O'Connell felt more comfortable with him. But I thought both quarterbacks, for a couple of backup quarterbacks, slinging it around, putting themselves in position to win, I thought they both played really well. Both over 300 yards. Browning with a couple big plays to finish it off there at the end. Of course, the touchdown pass to T. Higgins was incredible, and the catch and the effort to get in there was awesome. The 3rd and 9 that Lige just broke down was a great job staying alive, recognizing you can get that time, scrambling to your right, finding the receiver down the field. So I thought they both played really clean, both played really good games. I thought it was a fun game, which obviously burned me because I had the under. I didn't expect them both to go off and put up so many points. So I'm a little irritated they played so well.
Yeah, DK, when you look at this game, both quarterbacks had moments they would like to have back. And we know this was a playoff-like atmosphere type game. Both of these teams, I believe, came into this game at 7-6, vying for playoff position. So whoever lost this game was going to be on the outside looking in. And if you look at it, right, it's the pivotal moments in this game, right? In the red zone, DK, you know this as an ex-quarterback. You can't turn the ball over in the red zone because you take points off of your team and you potentially could be a 7-point, 10-point, 14-point swing. And that's what really happened in this game, right? Nick Mullins in the first half, when the Vikings had a chance to really extend their lead, had those 2 pivotal turnovers right in the red zone. You cannot turn the ball over in the red zone when you're looking to win games. And if you look at Jake Browning, he made the big plays when they needed him the most. I think that was another reason why the Bengals won this game. You talked about it. Him being able to use his mobility, which people weren't talking about going into this game. I know we didn't even bring it up because it wasn't something that we had seen on film a lot, him using his mobility to be able to buy time, a lot of off-platform things. We saw the touchdown to T. Higgins, which was a ridiculous catch by T. Higgins in the presence of mind to swing the ball around to get it across the goal line. But you talked about it, DK, on that 3rd and 9, right? Gotta have it played. It kind of reminds you of Joe Burrow a little bit, right? That's what Joe Burrow does. Evade the rush, keeping his eyes downfield. finds Tyler Boyd, and Tyler Boyd is able to catch the ball and then run after the catch, which was big to set them up, Haley, in field goal range to win the game. So kudos to Jake Browning. Again, Nick Mullins, he did play well, but I know he'd like to have a couple of those passes back in the red zone will ultimately cost his team to win this game.
Yeah, one catch that he doesn't want back is the one that we're looking at right now. Lige, you said this was the best touchdown you've ever seen ever, which, I mean, we'd have to go through a list of some of the great touchdowns we've seen.
I mean,
let's dial that back. Let's dial that back.
I mean, DK, the presence of mind, you got to think his head was looking this way. How did he even know where the pylon was for him to reach across and get it across the goal line? And then it was a 50-50 jump ball. It wasn't like it was a route or anything. Like, that's me being bigger than you. I have a better vert than you. I'm better than you. I'm going up to get the ball, and there's nothing you can do about it. So I like the attitude of the play, DK.
I don't have a problem. I'll just say this: when the weekend's all said and done, I don't even know if it'll be the best catch of the weekend. Can I say this though? For the love of God, if you don't have Jalen Hurts and you don't have the Philadelphia Eagles offensive line, stop trying to run the brotherly push or whatever the heck they're calling it now.
Terrible execution.
No one else can do it as successfully. We saw the Vikings do it twice, short yard situations. Poor Nick Mullins is over there crying on the sideline, looking like a sad guy because he doesn't have that offensive line. Most quarterbacks don't want to run that play, so coaches, please stop running it.
And DK, you bring up a great point, right? Execution. You have third and inches, fourth and inches. You don't get it on the first try, and it wasn't even close. Like, Nick Mullins wasn't even close to getting the first down. Ty Chandler to that point had 130 yards and was running physical. Why not give your running back an opportunity on 4th and 1 to run the football, especially when you got stuff? And the crazy thing is, DK, they had the smallest receiver on their roster in Brandon Powell trying to push him to get the first down. So bad coaching call right there and bad execution by the Vikings. It was another reason why they lost this game.
Yeah, it obviously had a lot of playoff implications in it as well. We talked a lot about that in the preseason. So I know we don't have an updated playoff picture in front of us, but I'm looking at where we were entering Saturday. So now the Bengals move to 8-6. The Vikings fall to 7-7. I mean, Danny, this playoff picture this year certainly has been interesting when you've got the last 3 weeks of the season ahead of you. And it seems like a silly question, but how much did this game really impact the way the rest of the season looks?
Oh, I thought it was huge. I mean, it's a must-win situation for the Bengals. And for the last few seasons, and I know it was Joe Burrow at quarterback, but they've been in a lot of these situations because they started slow like they did again this year. And I know they've coming off a couple wins, but it just feels like it's playoff time already. Like the playoffs have already started for the Bengals and the Vikings. And I know the Vikings could still get in, but I had them pegged to finish 8-9, losing today. Their schedule's a little bit tough. They play the Lions twice, who are it's one of the better teams in the NFC. And meanwhile, the Bengals, we'll find out what they do today against the Colts. I think they can win that game, keep this streak going. Then they get the Browns at home. We'll see. I have them lose it against the Chiefs. So I had the Bengals finishing at 9-7 or 9-8 and making it in. So I thought this one is one of those kind of playoff field types of games where it puts the Bengals in the driver's seat, at least as far as controlling their own destiny. Because I do think if they win out, they're in. Of course, they have to go to Kansas City, but clearly sets them up in a much better position than when Joe Burrow went down. Everybody, including myself, wrote them off and said their season's over. They've said, hold on, not so fast, and they're very much right in the thick of it.
Yeah, to me, DK, this was an absolutely must-win for the Bengals. They've struggled on the AFC side. And, DK, you know this, when you talk about tiebreakers, right, they've really struggled on that AFC side. And you talk about the games coming down the pike. You mean games against the Kansas City Chiefs, games against the Steelers, at the Steelers where they already lost once this year at home versus the Pittsburgh Steelers. And then the Browns, we know that defense comes to play. And it looks like Joe Flacco has found the fountain of youth. So, to me, if the Bengals had lost today, they were probably going to be out of the playoffs. Now they're in the driver's seat. They probably still need to win 1, maybe 2 games to solidify themselves into the playoffs. But the Vikings, you talked about their schedule playing the Lions twice. We've seen the Lions really struggle the last couple of weeks. And if Nick Mullins can take care of the football and if that defense can play like they did before the fourth quarter and overtime today, I believe the Vikings still have a really good opportunity to find their way in the playoffs. I believe 9-8 easily gets you in the NFC side. I don't know if 9-8 easily gets you in on the AFC side. So this was a must-win and a big win for the Bengals. But I think the Vikings, they still have 3 games left where they can still make some leeway and get into the playoffs.
Certainly wins are becoming more and more important. Gentlemen, thank you so much for your time. I love getting to chat with you guys after these games. Take a look at this, though. We're looking at the Vikings losing leads in the fourth quarter. It has become a trend for this team as of late. Taking a look back at history, obviously today they blew that 14-point lead. It's happened not once, not twice, not 3 times, but now 4 times in the history of the Vikings. So certainly have some stuff to work out there as they go forward with those last 3 games.